CM Punk was not your typical WWE superstar. Playing the role of an anti-hero or rebel was what allowed him to set himself apart from the myriad of other talent on the roster. Not only was his character work impeccable, but he was no slouch in the ring either. CM Punk had an interesting wrestling career to say the least, though has now moved on to other things. This makes it the perfect time for the CM Punk edition of Wrestling Origins. Philip Jack Brooks was born in October of 1978 in Chicago, Illinois. He was raised in nearby Lockport, where he, his siblings, and parents lived. On the surface, everything seemed well, with his father having a good job as an engineer and mother home with the kids. However, in reality, Brooks' father was an alcoholic, while his mother was addicted to drugs. This was a tough environment for a child to grow up in, yet Brooks stayed away from the drugs and alcohol. This of course would be the basis for Punk's straight edge gimmick, if you can even call it that, as Phil has sworn off of alcohol and drugs in real life. Since the age of 5 years old, Brooks wanted to be a wrestler. In an interview, he said that all of his friends wanted to be firemen or policemen, while he never wanted to do anything else besides wrestle. Also, Brooks was an avid WWE fan while growing up in Chicago, as he didn't really have access to other promotions. While attending Lockport High School, Brooks sported a colored mohawk and 6-inch spikes, along with an eyebrow piercing and a tattoo of a punk band named Operation Ivy on his calf. From that, I'm sure it's no surprise to learn that Phil loves punk rock music, and is a fan of skateboarding as well. He also has had a love of comic books since he was young that he still possesses today. In his teen years, Phil decided to take up martial arts, specifically kickboxing and karate. Though he doesn't have any documented amateur fights, he claims that he was quite adept in both forms. Regardless, Punk never decided to pursue a career in martial arts when he was younger. In fact, he was actually totally undecided about what he wanted to do with his life in his late teens. It was at around 19 years old Brooks decided to take up wrestling, as he learned it was his true passion. Brooks began wrestling before he received proper training in LWF, the Lunatic Wrestling Federation, which was a backyard wrestling promotion. Brooks wrestled in LWF in 1997 with his brother Mike Brooks, along with some friends. At this point, Brooks would start going under the name CM Punk, and was part of the tag team Chick Magnets, along with CM Venom. While wrestling in LWF, Brooks firmly decided that wrestling was what he wanted to do, while his friends were only there for fun. LWF was also where Phil's brother Mike embezzled thousands of dollars from the small promotion, causing the two to become estranged. By 1999, Brooks decided to look around for some proper training. He eventually landed on a school called Steel Domain, run by Danny Dominion and Ace Steel, who trained Brooks along with Kevin Quinn. It was here at Steel Domain where Phil met Scott Colton, who was also known as Colt Cabana. The two had become very close and spent most of their early careers with each other in one form or another. By 2000, CM Punk was moving away from Steel Domain Wrestling and landed in IWA Mid-South. Here, Punk would have notable feuds with Colt Cabana and Chris Hero. He would move up the ranks and win the IWA Mid-South Light Heavyweight Championship on 2 occasions, and the Heavyweight variant 5 times. Those titles were earned for victories over the likes of Cabana, AJ Styles, and even the legendary Eddie Guerrero. You definitely need to check out the awesome match that featured Punk, Eddie, and Rey Mysterio. Punk would continue to work in IWA Mid-South on and off until 2005, but also worked in other promotions along the way. Like a lot of wrestlers brought up through the indies, Punk had worked in a ton of different promotions. For him, these include International Wrestling Cartel, Mid-American Wrestling, Insanity Pro Wrestling, Major League Wrestling, and many more. They don't call him King of the Indies for nothing. However, I'm just going to cover the bigger, more notable promotions. Punk started working for Ring of Honor in 2002. By 2003, Punk was put into a feud with recently released WWE superstar Raven. The rivalry was based upon Punk's straight-edge lifestyle, as Raven was constantly compared to Punk's alcoholic father. The feud would last most of the year, and was considered among 2003's very best. The rivalry was put to bed when Punk defeated Raven in a steel cage match. Around the same time, Punk began working in TNA regularly. In 2003, Punk wrestled in almost 20 matches there. He worked with Colt Cabana among others on occasion, but mostly as part of the stable of The Gathering with Julio De Niro, having modest success. Punk would also have a single dark match in WWE this year. Back in ROH, Punk was climbing the ladder to the top of the roster. At the company's 2nd anniversary show, a tournament was held to crown the first ROH Pure Champion. Here, Punk would lose to AJ Styles in the finals. However, Punk would find success with Colt Cabana as part of the Second City Saints, winning the ROH Tag Team titles twice. Both times, the Saints defeated the Briscoe brothers to win the belts. In late 2003, Punk was also hired to be of the first head trainers at the Ring of Honor Wrestling School. This is a position held in very high regard. Jumping to 2004, Punk was sidelined in TNA as the company's officials didn't believe the Gathering was connecting with fans as heels. Some have speculated this isn't the whole story, as Punk was also involved in a physical altercation with Teddy Hart outside of a restaurant just prior. Punk has however said he doesn't believe that incident had any effect on his career. Regardless, Punk officially quit TNA in March of 2004 after the company refused to let him wrestle for ROH at the same time. Back in ROH, Punk would wrestle some big names like Austin Aries, Samoa Joe, and Bryan Danielson. He would wrestle Samoa Joe for the ROH World Championship in a 3-match series. The first match would end in a draw after the 60-minute time limit was reached. The second match would as well, but it was given the elusive 5-star rating by Dave Meltzer. The third and final match ended in defeat for Punk, concluding the awesome series. In 2005, CM Punk was offered a contract to join WWE's developmental territory, Ohio Valley Wrestling. Punk would accept, in front of a live crowd at Ring of Honor, signing the contract on his ROH World Championship in the middle of the ring. Debuting in late 2005, Punk would quickly become OVW Television Champion by defeating Ken Doane. Punk was a heel at the time, but in February of 2006, Punk was beat down by the Spirit Squad under orders of Brent Albright, turning him face. Also in February, OVW Heavyweight Champion Matt Coppotelli vacated the title for medical reasons, and a tournament was held to crown a new champ. Punk would make it to the finals, but was defeated by Albright. The two would feud again, this time with Punk winning and becoming champion in May of that year. Punk would later team with Seth Skyfire to win the Southern Tag Team Championships in July, but lost them shortly after. Punk still had the heavyweight title though, which he would lose to Chet Jablonski. After this loss, Punk was called up to WWE's main roster. Punk would make his WWE debut as part of the ECW brand. He would win his first televised match against Justin Credible and continue to go on a winning streak in singles competition. In no time, Punk was competing in big matches. He competed at Survivor Series in 2006, teaming up with D-Generation X and the Hardy Boys against Rated RKO, Mike Knox, John Morrison, and Gregory Helms. Punk would also be part of the Extreme Elimination Chamber match, though he was the first eliminated. 6 months into his career, Punk's winning streak finally came to an end at the hands of Hardcore Holly. Soon, Punk would compete in the WrestleMania 23 Money in the Bank match, though didn't win. Moving forward a bit, Punk was supposed to face Chris Benoit for the vacant ECW title, but Benoit never showed up, because he was dead. Anyways, Johnny Nitro took his place and defeated Punk for the vacant championship. In September of 2007, after a long feud, Punk defeated Nitro, now going by John Morrison, for the ECW title. Punk would defend this title numerous times until losing it in 2008 to Chavo Guerrero after interference by Edge. Soon after, at WrestleMania, Punk would win the Money in the Bank match and was drafted to Raw in June of 2008. On his very first night on Raw, Punk would cash in his contract. CM Punk pinned a beaten down Edge to win his first World Heavyweight Championship. And the rest is history. And that was Wrestling Origin CM Punk. I know I didn't cover all of his main roster story, but if I did, this video would be close to 20 minutes long, so I decided to cap it off there. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and be sure to leave suggestions for future videos down below. As always, thanks for watching.